Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we actually have to revisit a video from only 3 weeks ago. That's right, I'm talking about the Tier 3 Selector Guide video. In that video, I ranked all 16 existing 800 CCF non-premium Tier 3s that you can choose from the list, and I gave you guys my advice on who you should choose. Just to give you guys a quick recap, Sharon Rogers was still the undisputed #1, Ghost Rider was the new #2, and then I believe Venom was #3 and Thor was #4. I'm not actually here to talk about all of those characters. I'm not re-ranking all 16 of those characters. I'm just here to talk about one character, of course, and who that is. It's the only character that's been reworked since I made that video. I had no idea because at the time that I made the video, we didn't know what the update was going to be, but I thought there was no chance in hell Iron Man was going to get a uniform. So I actually ranked Iron Man second to dead last. Dead last belongs to Ant-Man. He was and still is the worst Tier 3 in the game, essentially. Or maybe actually Spider-Man and Black Panther might actually come later on. But anyways, if he's not the worst, he probably was the worst. But yeah, I basically ranked Iron Man second to dead last. I don't know why Black Panther and Spider-Man would be ahead of him. Well, Spider-Man makes sense, but Black Panther, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I was like, there's no way Iron Man's going to get a uniform. There's no MCU movie in the future that's going to give Iron Man a uniform. There's no reason for the devs to give Iron Man a uniform. Well, I eat crow. I put my own foot in my mouth because I was obviously wrong. So chalk one up to the guys who don't believe that I work for Netmarble. But yeah, Iron Man got a magnificent rework since I made this video just a few weeks ago, and I had a different, well, basically the same mustache, but it looks a little different to me. Yeah, Iron Man got a massive rework since then, so I got to recalibrate his positioning on the list. So I'm going to talk about how this character has changed dramatically, because he really has, and then I'm going to give you guys his final ranking. Just as a little teaser, he's in the top 5 now, which is, I think, is, you know, amazing and actually fantastic. So what has actually changed that has made Iron Man go from second to dead last to potentially top 5 on a ranking of 16, 16 Tier 3able characters? Well, it's really a combination of skills and passive effects that have been changed in addition to this new uniform giving him, you know, just crazy burst damage potential. So he obviously got a, brand new 5th skill, which you can actually now cancel. Whereas in the previous uniform with Endgame, you really can't cancel most of his skills. Really, the only skills you can cancel, you can kind of cancel 3 and you can kind of cancel 2, but 5, if you cancel it, you're not going to get the damage of the snap. And 4, of course, if you cancel it while he's spinning around with rescue, you're not going to get the damage either. But with his new uniform, you can cancel 5 and you can cancel 3, and that is going to make for a really potent combo. Now, I believe he retains his 30%. No, actually, you know what? They swapped his increased damage to villains. I kind of wish he had kept that, but it doesn't make sense because he is a villain now. But anyways, they swapped his damage to villains and they changed it instead to a 30% all attack. So he still gets a nice buff there, and he has the paralysis for 3 seconds with immunity. But yeah, you pop the 3, you pop the 5, and then you pass over that buff on 5 over to 4, and 4 does massive damage now. The heal is at the beginning of the skill rather than at the end. So he just has a much more satisfying rotation that you can just more easily combo. And keep in mind that part of the ranking for the Tier 3 Selector was characters that were easy to play, because as good as some characters are, and they might be almost identical in terms of their gameplay performance, if one of them needs a rage and one of them can work with different obelisks or different CTPs, then that's going to gain them some points. And Iron Man can he's definitely one of those characters that can work. Now, the combo is basically just 5, cancel 3, cancel 4, and you stack all of these hits. You can see he's there shooting the unibeam. You've got all the drones, then he's slamming down with this axe. He's got a gorgeous skill rotation, and he racks up, as you can see. This is on 3 enemies, but this is like over 200 hits. Yeah, well, you're hitting some other enemies back there at the end. But anyways, it's a lot of hits that you're racking up. Basically, his 6th skill hasn't changed. His 1st skill hasn't changed. His 2nd skill has changed a little bit. It's nice. It's obviously not cancelable, but it's still pretty nice. But that's really the big change for Iron Man, is on top of giving him substantial buffs and giving his skills more damage, they've also allowed him to be much more proc friendly. Whereas with the old uniform, of course, as good as it is, right? I love seeing Iron Man in the Endgame uniform. Don't get me wrong, right? Nobody is ever going to forget this uniform, but you just can't cancel his skills, and that's just not that good for the game. So here with Thor, as soon as you cancel it, you can see Thor is there charging me up, but those beams that I was shooting, they're gone, right? Shooting the beams, and then as soon as you cancel, you lose the beams. So you can't really cancel 3, you can't really cancel 1. Actually, you can kind of cancel 1. You can kind of cancel 2 once he throws that second disc. So you got a little bit of canceling on 1 and 2, but then 4, you can only, if you cancel it, you get rescue. You can see she's there, but you don't get the full effect. And if you cancel too early, you don't even get the heal. And then for 5, you can't cancel this either, of course, because you want to get that cool effect, you want to get that damage. But as you can see, if I cancel it too early, I get the Ash damage, I think. You get the sort of Ash snap damage. Actually, you might not, you do get the Ash damage, yeah, it's right there. But you don't get the effects, right? So you can't really cancel his skills. So this is a much more energy CTP or obelisk friendly rotation and uniform, whereas his other kit was much more set on a rage. So not only is he easier to play now and he's more flexible, but he deals way more damage. But it doesn't stop there. They went ahead and they improved his passives, which is crazy. Instead of just the energy attack, they added the 15 dodge and the 7% crit rate, much easier to cap his stats. And then on his passive, they added 50% crit damage, which is bonkers, and they added 33% guaranteed dodge. So he gets a bunch of offensive passive buffs, and he gets this crazy defensive passive buff. 33% ignore dodge is very, very good. All of these buffs culminate with his best buff, in my opinion, which makes him so unique and also makes him such a threat for a lot of content, which is his uniform passive. When the enemy reaches 30% of their HP or less, he goes into kill mode basically and does double damage. His damage increases by 200%. It's insane. It's actually more than double. Double would be 100%. But yeah, the damage is actually insane. And you can see the difference. His damage is actually kind of average before this procs, but once you get null down to about 18 bars, his damage just goes nutty. And he's like one of the highest damage characters in the game. So when you average out his time, he's still not the fastest character, but it's really cool to see that kind of passive working in game. And it works really well against bosses that have lower HP pools, but revive, like Corvus and the Mephisto. So there actually is some practical applications in the game for Iron Man. So all of those effects, all of those changes really bumped up his value in a huge way. The only sort of, not negative, but the only sort of tricky thing about this uniform is that it does make him a villain. And because it makes him a villain, it's going to remove a lot of the supports that you were used to giving to Iron Man, like Nick Fury, like Phil Coulson. You're not going to be able to use those anymore. So you have to be a little bit more careful with the supports that you give him. But overall, I think this is like an A+ to like S tier uniform for him. It doesn't make him top of the meta, and there are certain game modes where he's going to struggle because, again, his damage is only sort of average or a bit above average until you get that uniform effect to proc. So against, let's say, ABX, where the Frost Beast never drops below 30% because you can't kill the Frost Beast, or like against Surtur in squad battle, he doesn't take damage. Like, he takes damage, but his HP doesn't move because you're not killing him. It's just sort of like a arcade mode where you're scoring. That's where Iron Man is gonna, you know, suffer and not gonna perform as well. So he's not gonna have as much value. He can still have some value, but he's not gonna dominate squad battle. He's not gonna dominate ABX because of that. Again, he can still score pretty well, probably. I don't know how well he can score in ABX, but he's not gonna beat Cable. He's not gonna beat Moonstone. He's not gonna beat Mephisto. There are a lot of blast big dogs. Even Human Torch is now a blast big dog. He's not going to beat those big dogs because he can never proc this passive against those enemies specifically. So because of that, I'm probably going to rate him as the new 3rd or 4th best tier 3 to select with the selector. Again, assuming, it's 100% assuming that you purchase this uniform. If you do not purchase this uniform, then he's basically second to dead last. But I think if you do purchase this uniform, he's a little bit better than Venom. So in my opinion, that would put him in 3rd place, which is really, really impressive because that's where Venom was before. Like Venom, he can work with an obelisk. He's also really, really good with the CTP of energy. I was actually able to clock him at 2.5 minutes on stage 9 of Null with 9% Pierce and 1 support. He had Cyclops and Valkyrie. So he finished in half the time, right? Half of the total time that you can take on stage 9. That puts him right around the middle of the pack, right? You can see some of the higher speed characters here able to finish it in just over a minute. Human Torch able to finish it in 2 minutes. And then you have, of course, Venom down here able to finish it just a little bit slower than Iron Man. Venom has some advantages because he has healing and stuff like that. Or well, he has the healing blobs that you can use as support. But Venom also suffers because he's not going to be nearly as good against Mephisto compared to Iron Man, who's going to be better against Mephisto. So that's really what makes Iron Man better than Venom, in my opinion. In my eyes, he's basically just a better version of Venom, and he's more suited to the current content in the game. The only place that Venom is going to outshine Iron Man is combat ABX. So keep that in mind. Venom is actually very good for combat ABX. If that's something you're interested, maybe you should use the tier 3 selector on him. Otherwise, if you're just going for maximum value, Iron Man is going to have a little bit more maximum value right now compared to Venom. But for those of you that recently watched Moonbro's video, and the video is great, I'm not, ragging on the video or anything, but the comparison of Moon Knight, the comparison of Iron Man to Ghost Rider, I think is not accurate in my opinion. Ghost Rider clocked in, well, it's not a lot, but it's a full 15 seconds faster. And I played this Iron Man run many times. 230 was the absolute fastest that I was able to do it with 9% Pierce and a CTP of energy. Maybe he can do it faster with a Rage, I don't know. But Ghost Rider easily cruises to a 247 time with the exact same team up using Cyclops and Valkyrie. And Ghost Rider could probably do it a little bit faster if I got sort of a perfect run. I wasn't necessarily fishing for a perfect run. It was just my first run that I happened to do. So yeah, I think with a 15-second gap, and then the fact that Ghost Rider is #1 for squad battle, #1 for ABX in his days, means that his value is just clearly better than Iron Man. So I'm just trying to explain how Iron Man is a little bit better than Venom, and that's why he takes the 3rd spot, which is so impressive to go from 15th to 3rd. But he just doesn't have the thruster power to catch up to Ghost Rider, because Ghost Rider is the #1 universal for the universal hero ABX day. He, crazy damage, and then for squad battle, he's #1 by far for this universal one in Vibranium. And again, it doesn't matter to everyone, but for those people that it does matter to, he's king of that. And then he's still going to do amazing in GBR. He's going to do amazing in all these other game modes. Whereas Iron Man is a little bit more restricted in where he's going to excel, and he's a little bit more restricted in what supports he can use. So yeah, that's the breakdown for Iron Man. Again, for the build suggestions, an Obelisk can definitely work, which is why he takes the 3rd spot. Just like Venom, he has that flexibility. Thor, as you guys saw, is a little bit better than Iron Man. Just keep that in mind. Thor was up here at 253, actually a little bit faster than Ghost Rider. But Thor basically needs a Rage or a Judgment, depending on how much Pierce you have. And Thor's going to need other things like Beta Ray Bill Lead. He's going to need a little bit more support in that sense, so he's a bit more expensive. That's why he's on 4th. He's 4th place. He dropped a little bit. And then, yeah, so Iron Man, I would say either an Obelisk or an Energy if you want to just take advantage of that 5-3-4 rotation. You could also give him a Rage if you wanted to. That absolutely works. You can basically do the same rotation anyways and just splash in the 2 at the end, because you don't need to play out his skills anyways. Besides 4, you can cancel 5 and 3 right away and get all of their effects. And then the rest of the build is just pretty much par of the course as far as the Odin's Blessings and Uru and stuff like that goes. Power of Angry Hulk is obviously recommended because you're canceling all these skills. You want to get through the animations fast, and you want to get through the animation on the 4th skill fast. So you want as much attack speed as possible. Depending on the cards, you can sacrifice that and go for Overdrive, but he doesn't need the crit damage, right? Overdrive, you lose the attack speed, you gain the crit damage, but Iron Man gives you base 50% crit damage. So with the crit damage you get on an Energy, he's going to be way, way, way overcapped. My Iron Man is 53% overcapped on crit damage. So yeah, Power of Angry Hulk or possibly Hawk's Eye is going to be a better option for him for an ISO 8 set, but be careful with Hawk's Eye because then you're going to be missing Ignore defense, and that's really, really important, so you got to cap that out. So yeah, Iron Man, 15th place, now 3rd place. So just to give you guys a breakdown one more time, the first would be Sharon Rogers, 2nd place would be Ghost Rider, 3rd place now would be Iron Man, 4th place now would be Venom, and then 5th place now would be Thor, and then the list would continue from there. And if you need a refresher on that list, then just hit it up on the original video. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think of Iron Man going literally from 0 to hero, although he's actually going from hero to villain. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.